Hi, my name is Mike. Today we'll be talking about the Ford Windstar 2000 and the neutral safety switch, or the TR sensor, known for Ford. This little device here actually tells the computer in which gear you're in, enable it to shift properly, and even start the car. Now, most common problems you'll have with this is if it's broken, you won't be able to start your car, and it might even stay in a certain gear depending how it's broken. It could also cause intermittent problems and all sorts of other problems that people might even think that the transmission needs to be replaced. This is really not too much of an expensive part. It's about a $35–40 US part, or about an $80 $100 Canadian part, and it's very easy to get at your local auto parts or even at the Ford dealer. This one I took from the Ford dealer since I don't want to change this again, and it is a van that I plan on keeping for a while. Now, there's a few things you want to do beforehand. Is you always want to wear your gloves when you're going to change this. Safety issues, getting oil on your fingers and all this. The other safety precaution is to remove the battery cable it could cause any shorts, so you don't want to have that. It'll cost you even more to fix your car. The next procedures I'll be showing you today, if you don't feel comfortable, you might want to take it to your local garage and have somebody that's certified to change these parts. It's not very complicated, but then again, if you're not handy with a wrench, you shouldn't touch this. Now, let's get started, and hope you enjoyed this tip, and we'll show you how to do it safely. Now, you might want to check before unplugging the battery if there's any anti-theft device, radios, or any programming that may be lost when you unhook the battery cable. This should be able to be found in your owner's manual, or maybe at the dealer. Now, if you have such system, you might leave it to a trained technician able to unhook your battery and change your module. Now you'll want to take out the air filter so you can get access to the neutral safety switch. All you have to do is loosen one of these screws and unlatch the air filter belt. Pull it down. And you'll be able to separate the air filter, and behind is your PCV valve hookup. So you'll want to unhook that behind. Just gently wiggle it out. You might want to watch out because there are wires. There is a mass airflow sensor in here, and you don't want to damage this part. This is a very expensive part which controls the airflow. So very important, be very careful. Just set it aside and you'll be able to work in this area. This is where we're going to be working in. Here's the location of the neutral safety switch, or the TR sensor, located behind the battery. To remove this, you've got 2 bolts on either side, and you have also your shifting lever, which hooks up the cable that comes from the steering column that hooks onto it, which you can't really see right now. I don't recommend you try pulling off the cable because there is a clip and it might break. So your best thing to do is to remove the center nut, and then you'll be able to wiggle out the cable on the shaft. And you unplug the cable, and then you'll be able to remove the sensor from its position. Now we'll show you this in a bit. As you can see, the sensor has 2 bolts, one on each side, and you have your sender shaft that will go here. As I stated before, make sure you notice where the neutral is. You'll have an indication here on the plastic. So when you'll be putting this back in, you want to make sure that your gears are exactly where they're supposed to be. If not, they'll be indicating neutral and you'll actually be in drive. So please take note of the indication here and to put back exactly how it was. Now what you want to do first is you might want to take your connector off. Make sure that's out of the way. Set the push on the tab. Wiggle a little bit and pull out. If you do this now, it'll be much easier to separate since it's already bolted to the transmission. Then you'll take your key and you'll just undo the nut that's holding the cable on top. Now it's hard to see because you have a hose underneath. Once you get this loose, it should be fairly easy to take off. Now you might notice that there's a lot of rust on it. You might want to put some kind of like a jigaloo, or maybe anti-seize, WD-40, some sort of lubricant, and you'll be able to take this off much easier. Now if it gets hard, you might want to tighten it back up and then loosen it again and work your way so that it comes off easy. Now you don't want to break this off because this is a major component. After that, you'll take the 2 bolts off of each side, and this will allow you to take it off properly. And on the other side. Now we put this vehicle in neutral, so it corresponds to the switch setting, and it'll be much easier to put back on in the same area. And also it rotates the cable in an area where it makes it easier to wiggle it out. As I stated, if it's rusted, you might have to wiggle it out a bit, and it doesn't look like it moves, but it will come out. Just don't break anything, because anything you break here will probably be very expensive. Alright, here we go. So now as you can see, this one here was really stuck on. You know, with the age and time, it sort of builds up rust in the center, and we had to break it a little bit here and pry it up from underneath. You put your screwdriver underneath and you can lift, and it usually will wiggle free. Now all depending, this is a 2000, so it has at least 8 years, so you can expect for it to come off, you know, be a bit harder to come off. But it's off, and now that it's off, we'll show you. You might want to clean the shaft so that the new one will slide in a bit easier. Now as you can see, we've got the shaft here. See properly. And what you want to do is, there's little slots here, and you want to clean these off with a screwdriver. And we want to make sure that this is nice and clean, and take any plastic off that might have been stuck on. Now let's put the part back in. You can see, we'll slide it on top. Alright, so putting it back in, you might have a bit of trouble, so you might want to lubricate the shaft a little bit so that it'll make the plastic slide down easier down on top. And then you slowly put the nut back on and pressure it down. Now you don't want to go too fast because you might break it when it settles in. So go slowly, torque on each side, and in the center first, so that you're able to push down on the plastic without breaking the switch. Now once that's done, all you have to do is reconnect the wire, reconnect your mass airflow sensor here, and don't forget to plug back your PVC pipe in the back. Alright, let's go over what we've done. Essentially, we've taken the battery cable off, the air filter off, we've taken the center nut off, the 2 side bolts off, the power connector, and then you might have had to pry that off with a screwdriver. They can get kind of rusty and jammed on the shaft. If the shaft was rusty, you want to make sure that you buff it off or sand it off, and make sure the grooves on the side are clean so that you can reinstall the sensor with no problem. Now if you do have to force down, be very careful because you can break the sensor again. Make sure you screw it down in the center first, and you might want to use a washer to actually help and push it down centrally to make sure that you don't break the switch. Now when you put the switch back on, you make sure that the car is in neutral. The switch here has an indication where neutral is. You also have holes with slots so you can adjust it after if you need so. Then you put back your cables on, your power connector, and put back your air filter, put back the battery cable, test it out, and everything should work fine. I hope this was helpful, and hope to see you again. This was Mike.